Good morning, students. Say your prayer. தேங்க்யூ. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். ஓகே ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ், குட் மார்னிங். டேக் யுவர் சோசியல் சயின்ஸ் புக். Take page number 30. Today we will discuss about the course of the Second World War. So in our previous classes we have discussed about the various causes of Second World War. Okay, so various causes, various events that led to the Second World War. So that Second World War broke out on 1st September 1939 and lasted till 2nd September 1945. So recall what we have discussed in our previous class. In our previous class we have discussed about the rise of Adolf Hitler. So how Adolf Hitler rise as a dictator in Germany. Then rearm of Germany. That is, Hitler began to increase the military strength of Germany. Then Italy invaded Ethiopia and Albania, which was not opposed by the League of Nations. Also Germany invaded Austria and Sudetenland. So Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia. So Hitler claimed that Sudetenland was German speaking people. So that land belongs to Germany. So he invaded Sudetenland. Then in the eastern side, Japan occupied Manchuria and attacked China. And attacked Peking, the capital city of China. Then we discussed about the Munich agreement. So Munich agreement was signed between Hitler and whom? The Britain Prime Minister Chamberlain. So it was a shameful agreement for Britain. So because as per this agreement, Britain accepted Germany's invasion of Sudetenland. But it was not liked by Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of England during World War II. Okay, so we have discussed that also. But Hitler, after signing the Munich agreement, he break the agreement after invading Czechoslovakia and he attacked Poland next. So after when he attacked Poland, Britain and France declared war on Germany. So thus the World War I begins. In today's class we will discuss about the nature and the course of the war. So we discuss about the nature of the war. So the important events and the important battles of the World War II. So course of the war. So in World War II the world is divided into two camps. So already in World War I there are two camps. So one camp was called as Central Powers and another camp was called as Allied Powers. So in World War II, there are two camps. So as like that of World War I, so World War II also have two camps. So one is called as Axis Powers and another one is called as Allied Powers. So Axis Powers, so the countries included in Axis powers were Germany, Italy and Japan. So the countries of Axis powers were Germany, Italy and Japan. So various the Allied powers were Great Britain, France, Soviet Union and United States. So World War II also have two camps. So the world was divided into two camps, Axis powers and Allied powers. So Axis powers, so the countries included were Germany, Italy and Japan. So the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis. Then Allied powers, so the Allied powers, so that is the countries which opposed the Axis powers were called as Allied powers. So they were Great Britain, France, Soviet Union and United States. So World War II was fought on two distinct fronts. So one is Europe and another one is Asia Pacific. So in this map you can see the important area. So that is that black color indicates the main region of main front of the battlefield. So first it is the Europe. So in Europe, so the Allies fought against Germany. So in Europe the war was fought by the Allies against Germany and Italy. In the Asia Pacific region the Allies fought against Japan. So in the eastern side you can see that black color. So Japan was opposed by the allies, so in the eastern side, that is in the Asia Pacific region. So the second world war so fought on two distinct front. So one is Europe and another one is Asia Pacific. In Europe the war was fought by the allies against Germany and Italy. In the Asia Pacific the allies fought Japan. So World War II was a modern war. So when compared to World War I, World War II was a modern war fought with heavy military equipments. So in World War II, so the countries used heavy military equipments such as tanks, submarines, battleship, aircraft carriers, fighter planes and bomber planes. Okay, so they used tank and submarines, then battleships, aircraft carriers, so fighter planes and bomber planes. So this involved a very large resource base since all this equipment needed to be manufactured. Okay, so these equipments have to be manufactured in a large area and also they require a large resource base. Okay, so then there had to be a raw materials manufacturing capacity and technical inputs to improve the military hardware, and also these equipments so needed technical skill. Okay, and also they need a large amount of raw materials, and also they need, so these equipments need manufacturing capacity. Okay, so these are all needed by the countries. So this was an expensive and prolonged war of attrition. So this was an expensive, so the expensive cost is more, and also the prolonged war of attrition, and the war continues for a longer period. So prolonged means continues for a longer period. So attrition means, so if you attack continuously means, so the country may become weak. So if any country attack another country through its military equipment means, so soon it will become weak. So that is attrition. Okay, so the countries thought that if you produce weapons more and attack a country continuously means, so that the enemy country will become weak. Okay, so that they produced more military equipments. So this slide shows the newspaper report about German army attack Poland. Okay, so first in 1939, so Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia. So after attacking Czechoslovakia, he invaded Poland. So this was the final act which resulted in the declaration of war by Britain and France against Germany. Okay, so Hitler attacked Poland. So Germany attacked Poland, so which was reported in newspaper. So Hitler attack Poland. Britain and France declared war on Germany in September 1939. So on 1st September 1939, so war declared by Britain and France. So in June 1940, Italy joined Germany, and in September 1940, Japan also joined the Axis powers. Yes, in June 1940, Italy joined with Germany, and in the next September 1940, Japan also joined the Axis powers. Then there was a little action immediately after the declaration of war. So after Britain declared war on Germany, there was an immediate action. So Britain had already begun to build up its military capabilities. So before entering into war, she began to build up. So began to increase his military capacity, and all young men of British were conscripted for military duty. So conscripted means, what do you mean by conscription? Yeah, compulsory military service. Okay, so all young men in Britain were ordered for military duty. Okay, so there was a little action after Britain declared war on Germany. So already Winston Churchill was warning about Hitler's military ambition. So Britain was getting ready for the war. So already she began to build up its military capabilities, and all the young men were conscripted for military duty. So war was declared by Britain and France on Germany. So Britain was getting ready for the war. So already she began to build up the military capabilities. So the first years, so the initial years of the war were a time of spectacular, so very impressive, very aggressive success for the German army. So occupied Denmark and Norway. So in initial years, Germany had a successful, impressive success. So she had a spectacular success. Okay, so she occupied Denmark and Norway. So Denmark, which lies in the north of Germany, and Norway just above Denmark. Okay, so Norway and Denmark both lies in the north of Germany. So Germany captured Denmark and Norway. And later she occupied France also. Even France was also defeated by Germany. By 1941, almost all mainland of Europe till the Russian frontier was under the Axis powers. So by 1941, okay, so till Russia, so till Russian frontier, all mainland of Europe was under the Axis powers. So initially German, that is Axis power, had a spectacular success. So why there was a initial success for German army? What was the reason? It's because the German army followed a tactic. So tactic means so the art of moving soldiers and military equipment around during a battle or war in order to use them in most effective way. So tactic means the art of moving soldiers and military equipments around during a battle or war in order to use them in most effective way. So tactic means a technique of moving soldiers. So they followed a policy called as Blitzkrieg. So Blitzkrieg means the lightning war. So in order to storm. So storm means to attack a place suddenly. So they followed a policy. So they followed a technique called as Blitzkrieg. That means so they suddenly attack a country or a city and overrun them. That is, they capture them. They spread to over them. So German army so followed a technique called as Blitzkrieg. So that means lightning attack. So that means so they came like a light. So they came like a thunderstorm, and attacked the place and capture them. So they won't give much time for the enemy countries to get ready. So they attacked like a light. So lightning war. So that's why it was called as Blitzkrieg lightning war. So by using this technique, so Germany captured Denmark, Norway, and in the eastern side she invaded up to Russia. Okay, so almost the eastern part of Europe was under Germany, that is under Axis powers. Okay, then in the western side she even defeated France. So World War II was a modern war. So when compared to World War I, World War II was a modern war fought with heavy military equipments. So in World War II, so the countries used heavy military equipments such as tanks, submarines, battleship, aircraft carriers, fighter planes and bomber planes. Okay, so they used tank and submarines, then battleships, aircraft carriers, so fighter planes and bomber planes. So this involved a very large resource base since all this equipment needed to be manufactured. Okay, so these equipments have to be manufactured in a large area and also they require a large resource base. Okay, so then there had to be a raw materials manufacturing capacity and technical inputs to improve the military hardware, and also these equipments so needed technical skill. Okay, and also they need a large amount of raw materials, and also they need, so these equipments need manufacturing capacity. Okay, so these are all needed by the countries. So this was an expensive and prolonged war of attrition. So this was an expensive, so the expensive cost is more, and also the prolonged war of attrition, and the war continues for a longer period. So prolonged means continues for a longer period. So attrition means so if you attack continuously means so Britain wholly depends on sea only. So Britain wholly depends on sea route only. Okay, so because she imported the goods like food, raw materials and industrial goods from its empire and the United States through sea only. So in order to attack this, Germany developed a fleet of submarines. So fleet means a group of military ships commanded by the same person. So Germany developed a fleet of submarines which caused havoc. So havoc means a situation in which there is a lot of damage, destruction or confusion. Okay, so Germany developed a fleet of submarines which caused a situation in which there is a lot of confusion or a damage, especially in the Atlantic Ocean area. So Germany attacked British civilian ships, okay, so in the Atlantic Ocean area, thereby causing a lot of damage to the British Empire. Okay, so but Germany developed a fleet of submarines which caused havoc, especially in the Atlantic Ocean area, by sinking a large number of civilian ships carrying supplies to the Britain. Because Britain get the things, so get the imported goods in large scale from its empire and United States only through sea. Okay, so in order to attack this, so in order to reduce the power of Britain, so British power, so British empire power depends wholly on the empire. Okay, and also the goods she got it from England, United States. Okay, in order to reduce this, in order to defeat this, so Germany attacked the civilian ships which carry the goods to Britain from its empire and United States. The important events. Okay, so we have discussed about the nature of the war and the outbreak of the war. Yeah. So first, when Germany attacked Poland, so Britain and France declared war on Germany. So when was the war declared? Yeah, in September 1939. So when did Italy join Germany? Yeah, in June 1940. When did Japan join the Axis powers? In September 1940. Yeah, so by which year? So all of mainland of Europe till the Russian frontier was under the Axis powers. Yeah, 1941. So what was the tactic policy followed by Germany to storm into various countries and overrun them? Yeah, Blitzkrieg. So Blitzkrieg means lightning strike. So why the seaborne invasion of Britain was not possible? Because the British Royal Navy was very strong. Okay, so now the important events. So first the Battle of Dunkirk. So Dunkirk, which is located in the north coast of France. Okay, so because during the Second World War, so the German army so defeated France soldiers and pushed them to the place called as Dunkirk. Okay, so in May 1940, more than 300,000 British and French soldiers were forced back to the beaches in the Dunkirk. So in May 1940, we know till 1941, so there was a spectacular success for German army. So in May 1940, more than 300,000 British and French soldiers were forced back to the beaches in Dunkirk. Britain would have found it difficult to regroup if so many of her soldiers had been lost at Dunkirk. So Britain was found difficult. So Britain would have found it difficult in order because many of her soldiers had been lost at Dunkirk. Okay, so Dunkirk. So there is an English movie named as Dunkirk. So have you seen that movie? So if you have time means, so try to look at that movie. So try to watch that movie. So it was directed by a famous director of Hollywood. So Christopher Nolan. Okay, so it was a very good movie. So try to watch that movie. So in that movie, they clearly shows how the British and French soldiers so try to rejoin. So try to move to England. Okay, so Battle of Dunkirk is an important event in Second World War. Then the Battle of Britain. By July 1940, it was feared that the Germans were planning to invade Britain. So in July 1940, there was a fear among the British people that the Germans were planning to invade Britain. Hitler wanted to force Britain to accept his proposals for peace by a prolonged airborne bombing campaign. So Britain was forced by Hitler. So Hitler wanted to force Britain to accept his proposals, to accept his ideas so for peace. So Hitler threatened Britain that he would attack England through air. So through airborne bombing campaign. Okay, so the German Air Force began to attack specific targets, especially the ports, airfields and industrial installations. Okay, the German Air Force began to attack a particular targets, attack a specific targets, especially the port, airfield and industrial installation. In September 1940, London was bombed mercilessly. So mercilessly means so without mercy. So in September 1940, London was bombed by the German Air Force continuously. The action known as the Blitz. By October 1940, night bombing raids on London and other industrial cities began. So by October 1940, so bombs were put on London and other industrial cities even in night also. Okay, so Battle of Britain. So July 1940, it was feared that the Germans were planning to invade Britain. So Hitler wanted to force Britain to accept his proposals for peace. So that means if Britain accepted his ideas means he would come for peace. So how he threatened Britain? By a prolonged airborne bombing campaign. Yeah, so prolonged means for continuous, so for a longer period. Yeah, so he threatened Britain that he would continuously attack Britain through air. Yeah, so he continuously put bomb on Britain through air. Yeah, so if Britain want to stop this means, so she has to come for peace talk with Germany. Yeah, so the peace talk means, so Britain should accept the proposals of Hitler. Yeah, so the German Air Force began to attack specific targets. So Germany didn't attack all the places of Britain. So they selected some places in Britain and began to attack them. So especially they attacked ports, airfield and industrial areas. Okay, in September 1940, London was continuously bombed. Okay, the action was known as the Blitz. By October 1940, that is in the next month, so they thrown bombs on London and other industrial cities, even in night also, even during night time. But this campaign, yeah, so German attack of Britain through air was failed because with the help of a newly developed and top secret device called as radar. So now you heard about radar used in military. Yeah. So radar is a device which is used to detect the invasion of any foreign object. Yeah. So radar is an instrument. Yeah, so radar is a system that uses the radio waves for finding the position of moving objects. For example, ships or planes. Okay, so radar was developed during that time only. Yeah, so with the help of the radar, so British Army can detect the entry of German Air Force. Okay, so radar. So the help of radar was very important during Second World War. So with the help of the radar, so British can detect the entry of German aircraft while still at a distance. Then they attack the German Air Force through the Royal Air Force. Okay, so the campaign of attacking Britain through air was failed because with the help of newly developed and top secret device radar, so which helped to detect the aircraft while still at a distance. So the fighter planes of the Royal Air Force, so the Royal Air Force fighter planes were called as Spitfires and Hurricanes. Yes, so Spitfires and Hurricanes, which were able to inflict severe losses on the German bombers. Yes, so with the help of radars, so the Britain Army can detect the entry of German Air Force, and the Royal Air Force were able to inflict severe losses on the German bombers. So the air raid stopped after October 1940. Since Royal Navy direct the entry of German Air Force, the raid stopped after 1940. The Germans dropped their plans to invade Britain because of the failure of the air battle. So the Germans dropped their plan to invade Britain, so because of the failure of the air battle. So already in sea it was not possible because Britain was very strong, very powerful in navy. Yeah, so through land it was not possible, already we know, because it is surrounded by sea. So both entry of Britain through sea and air was not possible. Okay, so because why the entry of Britain through air was not possible means because she developed a secret device called as radar. Lend-Lease 1941 to 45. So giving lease. So lease means a legal agreement that allows you to use a building or land for a fixed period of time in return for rent. Okay, so Lend-Lease, a policy. So followed by America. So President Roosevelt realized that the United States had to change its policy of isolation. So President Roosevelt thought that the United States of America had to change its policy of isolation. So she should be, so that is the America should be interfere in world affairs. But could not intervene indirectly in the war in Europe because it was not politically feasible. So President Roosevelt realized that America had to change its policy of isolation, but she could not intervene, but she could not interfere, but she could not enter into World War directly in Europe because it was not politically feasible. So feasible means possible. So he started a program of Lend-Lease in March 1941. So America now wanted to change its policy of isolation, but she didn't want to enter into war. But she started a program called as Lend-Lease in March 1941. Arms, that is weapons, food, military equipment and other supplies were sent to Britain, discussed as a loan which could be returned after use. Okay, so President Roosevelt started a program called as Lend-Lease. As per this program, so Britain would supply with arms, food, military equipments. Yeah, so Britain would be supplied with arms, food and military equipments and also other supplies. Yeah, so they were discussed as loan. Yeah, and after the war, the Britain should return this. Okay, so this augmented the resources of Britain to a great extent. So this augmented. So augmented means so increase the amount of value, size, etc. So augmented means increase the size, value, etc. Yeah, so this augmented this loan increased the size, increased the value, this amount of the resources of Britain to a great extent. So between 1941 to 1945, the total aid under Lend-Lease amounted to $46.5 billion. Okay, so Britain get a lot of help, a lot of military help from America through the Lend-Lease program. Okay, so between 1941 and 45, the total aid under Lend-Lease amounted to be 46.5 billion. Okay students, so today's class over. So just we have discussed about the course of the war. So the topic is not get over. So in tomorrow's class we will continue with the invasion of Russia. Okay, so how the German army invade Russia. So totally we have discussed the war in the European region. So first the invasion of Germany in Britain and also the policy, the program of America, Lend-Lease. Okay, so today there is no written homework. So just read the textbook. Okay, so for textbook reading, just read the Battle of Britain. Okay, so just read the Battle of Britain, that 2 paragraph. Okay, so there is no written homework. Okay, so thank you. If you have any doubt, contact me. So thank you. Have a nice day.